Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be discussing 5 things we have learned so far this Premier League season. Obviously, it's not been a great start to the season for Man City. We currently find ourselves in the bottom half of the table, 7 games in. Obviously, we do have a game in hand against Aston Villa, which if we do go on to win, we will put ourselves in sort of that European places. Only 2 points behind Liverpool, 3 points behind top spot Leicester. Before we do get into today's video though, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. We are pushing for 11,000 subscribers, so all subscribers are much appreciated. And make sure to press that notification bell so you're notified the second I upload. But anyway, as I was saying, in today's video we are going to be discussing 5 things we have learned so far this season. There's a lot to talk about. I have narrowed it down to 5 brief points though. Tell me what you think. Say how you think the season's gone so far down in the comments below. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on into today's video. To begin with, we have got the importance of pre-season. We learned this year how important pre-season is. Obviously, we completely skipped out pre-season this year due to COVID problems and heavy schedules. Meant that pretty much teams couldn't have a pre-season, especially us after we were in Europe last season. We lost to Lyon, obviously. But that meant we came back late and we had absolutely no pre-season. We had 2 weeks of training beforehand. The players normally like to have 6 weeks before the season starts. And we only had 2 games, no friendlies played. And it definitely showed. City and everyone started pretty slow, but especially City. Early on, we were dropping a lot of points. We obviously beat Wolves on the first day, then we got smacked by Leicester and drew to Leeds. And we'd pretty much dropped 5 points from a possible 9 after 3 games. It was a very, very poor start. Since then, we have picked up. Our results been much better. We haven't lost since Leicester. However, performances still haven't been the same. We noticed the fitness levels really aren't to the same standards as they have been in previous years this year. Second half from City have been extremely poor, and there's been a massive drop off from the performance in the first half to the second half in pretty much every game so far this season. As we've progressed into the season, we're starting to see a bit of an improvement, but they're not the level they would be, and I'm sure the managers all appreciate that, and probably Pep is understanding of that. The players aren't fully fit, and it is likely that is probably because of a lack of pre-season. Now the players are slowly starting to, we're like 8 games into the season, City played 7. We are starting to see the table take shape. Scores are starting to go normal, a little bit more normal again at least. We're not seeing any 7-2s against Liverpool. But yeah, now we're starting to see the table line up a bit more properly. And yeah, I think it is showing that the importance of pre-season is huge. Second on the list of 5 things we have learned so far this season, and it is the importance of our strikers. Boy, have we noticed this year that we have lacked a striker. There's a lot of talk about us signing a new striker, potentially in January, definitely in the summer. And as we all know, Aguero and Jesus have been missing for the majority of this season. And our goal scoring form has dropped off a cliff. Obviously, last year, we scored 103 goals, I think, or maybe not 103. It was like over 100 though, definitely. It's a very, very good season in front of goal. We've been top goal scorers in the league for God knows how long now. It's been a very, very long time since we weren't the top goal scorers in the league. And this year, in front of goal, we have been dreadful. Only Wolves, Arsenal, and the bottom 4 teams in the Premier League scored less goals than us. We're on 10 goals from 7 games, which for us just isn't acceptable. It is very, very poor. And I think not having a striker is obviously going to have a big impact on that. In the games, Jesus has been fit. He's got 3 goals in the 3 games he's played, which again shows when he's playing, he's scoring. He's just not been able to play because of that injury he got on international break with Brazil, and obviously Aguero missing him as well. He's back for Tottenham though, which is big. Aguero and Jesus both fit for the Tottenham game for the first time this season, which is brilliant. It has been ridiculously unlike us to be so poor going forwards. Normally you'd probably be going on about how poor our defence is, and the attack just kind of does its job and no one complains about it. This year it's the polar opposite. The defence has been very, very good since Ruben Diaz has come in, and going forward we have looked so bad. It's been boring. It's been really, really poor to watch, to be honest. It's also noticeable how poor our finishing has been. I've always been one that said our finishing has been really poor. However, without a striker, it's got even worse. We're just not scoring the goals. And yeah, having the strikers back against Tottenham, I think will have a major impact. And hopefully we can keep him fit. But definitely, I'd be after getting a striker in January. Swiftly moving on, we have the third thing on the list, and it is the miss of David Silva. Obviously, in my opinion, the greatest player to ever wear the Man City shirt. David Silva left last season after his contract expired. He's now at Real Sociedad, where he's absolutely smashing it, and they are currently, I think, top of La Liga after 9 or so games, so you can see he's obviously having an impact there. But yeah, I was just speaking about the missed chances we were having. I think another thing that's noticeable this season is without David Silva, we are creating a lot less. In terms of expected goals, last season we had an expected goals of 2.7 per game. This season it's only 1.55 so far. So you can see, even though our finishing has been worse, we're creating a lot less chance for those forwards. And I think that's been noticeable as well. We haven't created nearly as many chances. We're only testing the keeper once or twice a game normally. And I think a big chunk of that is due to the lack of David Silva. Obviously, David Silva was the king of mastering tight spaces. He'd find neat through balls. And we just don't have a player to do that. That's not because our players are poor. It's because there's no one in world football, I think, that's like David Silva that can do what David Silva was doing in his prime. We miss someone like him to dictate the tempo. Obviously, we've got De Bruyne, but he's a different kind of attack midfielder. De Bruyne will find the ball wide and he'll put a worldie of a ball in behind or something like that. He's not as good when teams defend a lot deeper. David Silva's much more suited to that than De Bruyne because he can find the tighter passes. He's better in the tighter spaces. He's better on the ball. And yeah, David Silva was just perfect at dictating the tempo and then finding those killer passes against the smaller teams. One thing David Silva was very good at was that over-the-top through ball to the cutting in left winger. He did that a lot with Leroy Sané. Again, we're missing Sané. That's another big loss this season. But yeah, he is someone that we definitely do miss this season. And I think it definitely shows. Sad thing about this is that, in my opinion, we're not going to see another player like David Silva, potentially ever, but at least for a very long time. It's going to be very difficult to replace David Silva. And if we do, we're talking probably 3 or 4 years. We've seen the teams like Arsenal try and replace Vieira, and even 20 years later, they've still not been able to fill that void. And I think it could be a similar situation with us and David Silva. Next on the list, we have the Rodri and Gundogan partnership, and about this, it doesn't work. We knew it last year. This season consolidates that information. We already knew Rodri and Gundogan shouldn't play together. It's one of them things that City fans see on the team sheet and instantly just dislike. I have no doubt they are both very good individual players, and I think I'm more than happy with them being in the City squad, and I like them when they play by themselves. However, when they play together, they just slow the game down way too much. As players, they are both quite slow, which really isn't a benefit, especially when you've got teams trying to hit us on the break so frequently. They both get caught out too easily. When they both push high, you see there's just too much space in the middle, neither of them can track back, and it's just not a very good combination. They also like to take up similar positions, so they pretty much cancel each other out. When one of them is on the ball, you're pretty much a man down because the other player is just wasted. They both give us less options going forward. I think neither of them can really make a difference in the attacking areas of the pitch. I know Gundogan plays as that 10 role sometimes, but personally I think unless he's playing as a 6, he's pretty useless. Last season, they started 13 times together in the league. City dropped points on 7 of those occasions. In the other 25 Premier League games, we only dropped points 5 times. It says a lot. I get that in the games they play together, a lot of them are normally against the harder teams, as we saw against Liverpool, because Pep wants to go with that double pivot, more defensive cover in those games. But they do make a difference, and not a good one. As I said, they're both good players, don't get me wrong. However, I think this year has consolidated the information that they just should not be on the pitch together. And yeah, Pep, if you see this, just please stop playing them together. The final thing on the list of things we have learnt so far this season is that the Premier League is anyone's. We always say the Premier League is the best league in the world. It is always competitive, and this year is no different. And potentially, it's actually more open than ever before. We've seen Liverpool be smacked 7-2. We've seen City smacked 5-2. And then Premier League genuinely could go to anyone. As we can see right now, Leicester are top of the Premier League. Who knows, they could have another insane year. They could win the Premier League for the second time, which would be incredible. In my opinion, I do imagine that by the end of it, Liverpool and City will be the top 2. I think Tottenham and Chelsea will put up a fight. But I do think the Premier League is anyone's. I think 86 points will be enough to win you the Premier League this year. And in my opinion, there's a number of teams that could get that. I think City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham and Leicester are all capable. Right now, we see teams like Leicester, Wolves and Southampton all in the top 4. Really doing very well as well. If they beat us in that game in hand, they're in a very good position. So lots of teams, especially fighting for Champions League football and European football, that we would not normally see around those sort of areas. I think another thing that will make this league more open, obviously right now we're seeing Liverpool with a lot of injuries. They're without a whole back 4 for this game against Leicester, which I think will have a major impact on them if that continues. Obviously Van Dijk is gone for the season, same with Joe Gomez. City also look very poor, as I've said many times. This season we've not played to our standards. I think if we pick it up though, and we get on a good run between November, December and early January, by sort of mid-January, I genuinely think we could have a very solid lead. Because I imagine a lot of teams will drop points. I think if we drop less than 5 points in that time, which I don't think we are going to do, I think we're going to be clear, and I think the league will be coming back to the Etihad in May. But yeah, who knows? Leave in the comments down below as well who you think is going to win the Premier League this season. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Anyway guys, that is all for today's video. Leave a like and subscribe, but as I said earlier in the video, if you haven't already, a lot of you watching this video are not subscribed, as you can see on screen, so make sure to change that. Let's get that number down to 50%. I'll be back with another video in a few days discussing 5 reasons why I think Manchester City will win the Premier League this season. Anyway, that's all from me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.